What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, and it is my pleasure to talk to boxing icon, the face of Golden Boy Promotions, multiple time world champion, Oscar De La Hoya. How you doing today, Oscar?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir, man. It is a pleasure to talk to you. One of the first things that I want to ask you is talk about Vergil Ortiz Jr.'s performance. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you, Oscar. I
Mhm.
expected him to have trouble with Matt.
Sure.
So, what
Oh
did you think of that performance?
no, I was actually worried. I was worried about Madrimov because of what people made him out to be after he
Hmm.
fought Crawford.
Hmm.
And that's the beast.
Yeah.
My gosh, Madrimov did so well against Crawford that he's gonna maybe walk right through Vergil Ortiz, but we saw the opposite. Vergil Ortiz adjusted. He knew how to cut off the ring, and I mean his ring generalship was amazing. He was a veteran up there against Madrimov. He did extremely well. I think Vergil Ortiz did better than what Crawford did against Madrimov.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of agree. And here's the thing, I don't know if that's because, he had the benefit of actually getting that extra tape and that extra opportunity, or if it was a stylistic thing, or if at this point in their careers, maybe Virgil is here and Crawford's here. I don't know, but I kind of agree with you.
Well, I mean, you take a look at Crawford, who is, I mean, he's an outstanding pound for pound, world champion, and what he's done in his last, in his recent fights is commendable, and what he did to Spence and Madrimov, and but you have to you have to keep in mind that he's what,
6.
30, is he 36?
I think it's 36. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
he's
36.
36 years old, and he's been in some, he has a lot of fights, and so it's at 36 years old you start to, you hit the little peak, and
Yeah.
and then something happens to your legs, and they
Yeah.
start to shake a little. They your conditioning is not 100%. There's something always wrong
Yeah.
when you hit that stage of your career at 36, so who knows? I mean, look, I think Crawford is a young 36.
Yeah. Well, it's actually 37. I just looked at 30.
Okay, 37. He
Mhm.
takes care of his body. He takes care of himself. He's a professional. But you can't go up against Father Time. That's just the way it is, right? So you compare Virgil, he's what, 26, 27 years old.
Mhm.
He's fresh. He's gonna be more active, and maybe that's why he had a better time with Madrimov, because of the energy, the conditioning, and obviously the styles made a huge difference. So, and as you know, styles make fights.
Absolutely.
But I do think that Vergil Ortiz Crawford will be probably the best matchup that can happen today for both guys.
Yeah, because that actually is interesting because that's going to be the next thing I asked. And I actually wasn't thinking about Crawford because everyone's kind of prepared for Crawford to move up. And if you saw Crawford, you were there at the fight.
Yeah.
It didn't look like he's fighting 154 anytime soon because he's already
Sure.
seeming like he's bulking up. So I was going to ask, which fight do you think is better for Virgil at this point? And I wasn't even thinking about Crawford, but you just said that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the winner of Fundora Booker or Mertzaliyev, if that was like, because to me at this point, anything beyond a complete world championship fight is like not is crazy for Virgil.
Right, of course, and but as a promoter, I have to keep in mind that Virgil's coming off two tough fights,
Hmm.
which can be tough on the body as well, tough on the mind. I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe doing a homecoming party for him in Dallas.
Hmm.
Fight a top 10 guy,
Yeah.
and then go after Fundora, then go after Crawford if he's gonna come back down to 154 after he fights Canelo at
Hmm.
168. There's a lot of options out there for Virgil. I'm excited because, I mean, imagine if we can put together a Spence Virgil fight in Dallas Stadium at the Cowboys Stadium. That'll sell out the place, and I think that's something to consider as well. So some good options for Virgil.
Yeah, Spence, Virgil, and Dallas would be bananas. Yeah, and
It's the event to go to.
I actually saw you throw that out there on Twitter like 2, 3 years ago. I saw you throw that out there,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
remember that. So, uh, can you tell me a little bit? This is still on Virgil a little bit. What happened with the Jerron Ennis thing? Because initially we thought like that was going to be the fight that took place there in Saudi, but then
With
it
who? I'm sorry.
with Jerron Boots Ennis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what happened with that situation in Virgil? Because the Magic Mom fight turned out to be a really good fight,
Yeah.
but Virgil Boots, I think everybody would have really, really loved to see that one too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the facts are the facts. When Boots last fought, Eddie and Boots were calling out King Kong,
Yeah,
you know, and all of a sudden, Virgil's like, "Yeah, I'll fight you anytime," and then they pulled out. That's
yeah,
that's that's the bottom line. I mean, I think Boots. What is he fighting at 147? His next
yeah,
fight?
yeah.
Yeah,
Against
I think I
Elias
think
Salam.
I think you realize. I think Boots realized that he can still make 47. He can, he still has something to prove in that weight class, and then he'll move up. So it's understandable, but it made it seem like they were not. It made it seem like they were scared of fighting Virgil because at 154, But I don't think that was the case. I think the case is that Virgil can still fight at four. I mean, Boots can still fight at 47, and they'll just have to wait for Virgil at 154 down the road. So, and I think it's a big fight. I think Boots and Virgil is a terrific, amazing fight. So yeah, we're looking forward to that.
It is Virgil's in a really good pace because there's so many options that are good fights,
Yeah,
and with the way he just looked against Majimov, is cool. And then also on top of that, to be able, like you said, do a home game kind of a fight in
yeah,
a
yeah.
place like Dallas, and maybe if it's in Arlington Stadium or that would be great. So I gotta ask you about someone else. Like so, based on obviously Floyd Schofield was supposed to fight Shakur, but he ended up
Mm.
being Josh Padley. But based on what you saw between Shakur and Padley, are you more or less confident in Zepeda or Schofield's chances against Shakur?
Man, it's a tricky question because you know obviously I'm a fighter at heart always, and I
Mhm.
know styles and I know this and that. Shakur's one hard man to beat, but not impossible,
Mhm.
right? I
Mhm.
mean, no, it's not impossible. His style is very difficult. Obviously, this Padley guy he fought gave him a little, little trouble here and there. I
Mhm.
mean, he maybe Shakur got hit a little more than he was expected to get hit, right?
Mhm.
Because Padley came in just guns blazing.
Right.
And then Shakur has a little trouble with his hands. I saw him shake his right hand, I believe it was.
Yes, it was.
In what round? Some round. I'm not sure what it
Like
was,
the
but
third, I think it was. Yeah.
yeah, but Shakur's an amazing talent, and but I think that the plans are to fight Tevin Farmer in Cancun in March, and then go after everybody. I mean, these are the types of fights that William Zepeda wants. Is the Shakur Stevenson, the very best. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna look. Today's boxing is all about business,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I don't like it, and I hate it because a lot of fighters are outpricing themselves, and the big fights are not taking place. You know, I really feel that Shakur wants to be great,
Yeah.
and he wants to fight the very best, and I think the same thing about William Zepeda. So that's going to be a fight down the road this year that we're going to see and we're going to make, and it's going to be a great fight. I think William's willing to face anybody. He's in that moment of his career where he's just willing to face anybody.